Good evening, welcome to Stafford City Council meeting. If you have a cell phone, would you mind muting it or turning it off? It's up to you. We have one out today. The Pledge of Allegiance is going to be offered by Vice Mayor Richard Ortega, following an opening prayer by Councilman Mike Andazola. But before we do that, could we please take a moment of silence for the Holguin family, please? Thank you. Would you stand with me and remain standing for the prayer, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord God, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you have bestowed upon us. We ask you to please be with us tonight as we make decisions for this great community of ours. We pray for all our citizens, for our staff and our employees, Lord, and we especially pray for the Holguin family at this time. We ask that you please send your spirit amongst them for condolences and prayers, Lord Jesus. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, Councilman Manzola. Yes. Oh, he is on,
Yes.
okay, so we got a full quorum. Hello, Jane. He's already hung up.
He
Yeah,
was
I
on
had my
the,
phone muted.
He said he wasn't gonna say nothing.
He said he wasn't gonna say nothing, Arnold? Okay. We have, citizen comments on agenda items, none. Okay, that's gonna move on to, public hearing, item 7, a public hearing, for the, Best Western, Plus liquor license. Tammy, you got any information on that?
yeah, so we received an application. This is just a location owner transfer. They are looking to open up a bar over at the Best Western Plus, across from the Victory Fellowship is that one there. And it's actually the liquor license. They purchased it from Curly's out there by Fort Thomas, so that's what the transfer is they purchased that liquor license. They're moving it over there to the Best Western Plus and just looking to open up a bar within the hotel there.
Okay.
Did anybody have any questions? And it's also public hearing as well too, if there's any public.
And that fits within our criteria within a church and stuff?
Yes,
It
so
does?
I double checked with the liquor license agent that's taking care of this, just to make sure, and she says it's, as long as it doesn't fall within 300 feet, and I double checked, and it's 500 feet from the Best Western Plus to the Victory Fellowship.
Okay. And do you have any idea on the timing of this bar? Is it just mainly just to suit their needs, or is it gonna be a full-blown like music and bar until 2 o'clock?
No, it's gonna be more just for hotel guests, through the evening, and then any type of events that
Okay.
they'll be holding there.
Once again, it's open to the public. Anybody like to chime in, please do so. I go quick. So if I don't see any of you anxious to step up, I move right along.
Well, I'm glad you clarified where it came from, because I know we're limited on licenses, and it was Curly,
Correct,
and it's spirits and beer, I guess,
correct, yeah, it's a full bar license.
full gamut.
Okay, anybody else on council, anybody from the public last call? All right, we're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing and reconvene to our regular meeting. Item 9.1, Best Western Plus liquor license. Tammy?
Again, just looking for a recommendation for the Best Western Plus. Does any of the council members have any other questions regarding it?
Any questions from the council? Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Brings us to item 9.2, which is the minutes. Tammy, again?
So I have the August 9th, 2021 council meeting minutes for approval. Was there any questions on them?
Councilman Lopez?
No, sir.
Look
I'm
good?
I'm good.
So moved.
We have a motion?
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that was a motion for, correct?
He was
Okay.
approving, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
been approved.
9.3, the United Way fundraiser special events, that will be offered to us by staff Pam Frost. Pam, you're getting ready for a busy season now, aren't you? And you're still doing it with a smile on your face. Love it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request to the Mayor and Council to recommend an approval of the amended 2021 special event application for the Safford Summer Block Party. The Safford Summer Block Party was approved with the annual special events in February and was approved by council to waive the fees. The Safford Summer Block Party is put on by the City of Safford United Way Employee Committee to help raise funds for the United Way of Graham and Greenlee counties. This event was planned to take place on July 24th. However, due to rain and weather conditions, they were unable to have the event. And in partnering with 3 counties distributing, the committee has decided to reschedule the Summer Block Party to be a fall-themed Oktoberfest and cornhole tournament. The event will consist of a cornhole tournament with prizes, a beer garden, music entertainment, and vendors. The event will take place on Saturday, October 23rd, on City Hall lawn at 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. The beer garden will be on the city lawn. There will be a tent with orange fencing around the lawn with barricades and tents to define the licensed area. They will have 3 staff members, 8 board members, and 3 bartenders to provide security. They request a police officer to help patrol the area. There will be 2 people at the entrance to the garden at all times to make sure alcoholic beverages do not enter or leave the area. An individual checking government-issued IDs and putting wristbands on eligible participants. Vendors will know that they are not to serve any individual without a wristband. This event will take place right after the Harvest Festival is over. So the Harvest Festival will take place from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And some vendors will be able to choose to leave at 4 or stay for the cornhole tournament till 10. And as soon as the 4 p.m. vendors leave, they can begin putting up the orange fencing for the beer garden. The street will already be closed for the Harvest Festival, and we just moved the tear down from 4 p.m. till 10 p.m. And if you have any questions, Matthew Holschel, he is a representative for the committee, can answer any questions that you have for that event.
Go ahead.
So, I didn't pick up exactly, I tried to follow you, just which ones are the amendments, that there's gonna be beer there now, for one?
Yeah, so the amendment is that there is going to be alcohol served, as well as requesting an additional officer. We didn't have an officer present before because there wasn't alcohol being served, but there will be requesting an additional officer.
Is there alcohol just inside the beer garden or all through the front lawn?
Mayor, Councilman Lopez, there'll be a fenced off area, and it will be the whole lawn, similar to that of how the Spring Festival had it sectioned off, and the Salsa Festival.
Yeah, and years ago it started around the block, and it's slowly grew, and it's taken up more and more area. I know that they did the whole lawn section, which, it went forward, but we have to talk about that more, because I didn't exactly think it was right to have little girls dancing and people in the audience holding a beer can. So that's gonna come up again, as far as I'm concerned, to bring it up and maybe put it back in the beer garden. Or whatever they come up with, if they give them covers for their cans or something, but I didn't feel it was appropriate to have to that extent.
I have a question, maybe somebody can answer that. Did the Salsa Fest, did they have officers watching the gate entrance? They did too? Okay. And did they have 2? They only had 1? Do we know why we need 2 on this one instead of 1? I think it's, the Salsa Fest would be a bigger event.
We're only requesting one, Mayor Couts.
Oh, they're, okay, so they never even had
Never had
any,
zero,
and
yeah.
then we need one.
The block party will probably catch on like the rest of them, so. if
You know,
we do it,
I
then-
kind of understand your concern, Councilman Lopez, I understand your concern. So I do want that noted, that I do understand your concern, but at the same time, I just love seeing the life that's going forward, and to restrict it too much is just, man, it gives me heartburn to restrict it too much. It is something we could definitely be talking about. Go ahead, Vice Mayor first and Councilman Boyd. Vice Mayor first.
I was by the Salsa Fest a couple of times, one in the morning, well, right around noon and late on the afternoon. And the people that had, I'd say, people that drank beer and that, I didn't even really notice it because it was very well controlled. If anything, they sat underneath the tents. I didn't really see anybody walking around with, and just throwing their containers someplace. It was, they were respectful.
Councilman McGoy?
Do I understand correctly that the Harvest Festival will be over at 4 o'clock? And if this amendment isn't given, then the whole thing's over. So any beer drinking after when the Harvest Festival would have been over is, the Harvest Festival's still over, correct?
Mayor Couts, Councilwoman McGoy, that is true, yes. If the Harvest Festival ends at 4, there's no event after that, and there is no beer garden at the Harvest Festival. The beer garden's only going to be at the Cornhole Tournament, Oktoberfest.
Yeah. Just want to make sure I understood.
Okay. So, any other, I'm gonna go ahead and ask for a motion on this, then we can have more discussion. Motion?
So, second.
We have a motion, a second, any more discussion?
Oh, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.4, United Way fundraiser special event liquor license. Pam?
This is a request for the mayor and council to recommend an approval to the Department of Liquor Licenses and Control for the following their festival license application. United Way of Graham and Greenlee counties, and it also has a map attached there.
So
The-
moved.
Second.
Sorry.
We have a motion, a second, any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, Pam.
Sorry, Pam.
Thank you. No, you're good, thank you.
Item 9.5, Planning and Zoning Commission. Jamie or Jaime?
Jamie.
Jamie. Don't hate me for, you'll answer to anything, right?
Yeah, I'll answer
Okay.
anything. Just not late for dinner.
Hey, all right, what time's dinner?
7. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request for the mayor to recommend a Planning and Zoning Commission appointment to the City Council, not to the City Council, to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and for the City Council to approve the recommendation. John Figueroa, member of the Planning and Zoning Commission's term expired on June 30th, 2021. He has confirmed by email that he would like to renew his commission for another term. He was first appointed to the commission on August 12, 2013, and has served for 8 years. Per zoning ordinance section 17.84.110A3, appointments to the commission are made by the mayor and subject to approval by the city council.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.6, Special Events Business License. Tammy?
So Mayor and Council, this is a discussion that started at the September 13th meeting when Mr. Bell did approach the council and address them regarding the temporary business license and special events. After a discussion with after staff had a discussion with Mr. Bell, the event that he was looking, that he's possibly will be hosting next year is covered under the fee waiver that he'll be bringing first of next year as part of the event list for the year. And so that was really kind of irrelevant for him, for that business license to be, for us to kind of get rid of that. But in light of that, we did take a closer look at the business licenses, the type that we have and it's a need for. And so we would like to bring this back to council for a further discussion at a future work session for the different business licenses and a change in that for what we feel the need is for future for business licenses, special events, even the temporary business license and everything else, just kind of a full kind of structure change of our business licenses and the needs for them now. And staff did get together with, planning and zoning and with Pam and, all the different departments that were required for business license, and we had a pretty good discussion that we would like to bring back to you for future for a change within the business license structure.
Well, can we move on this like right now or no? I mean,
So it's gonna be a little bit more in-depth as far as what fees you would like to see, what we're looking for to do with them, kind of an in-depth discussion of the length of time that you'd maybe, for a future possible special event business license for like a one-time use that would be good for 7 days, what the fee is you'd like to, do that, getting rid of the temporary business license altogether. We don't feel that maybe that's even necessary anymore. So kind of an in-depth discussion with you guys at a future work session to kind of dig into that and see what it is. And we'll still fall within the timeline of getting it ready for the events next spring that will be coming.
okay, but does this kind of help with the reduced rate for special events right now?
Absolutely. So actually, right now, special event vendors are not charged
Okay.
for a business license, and that's something that we're looking to maybe change, because we are getting into so many more events within the city of Safford, and they're getting to come back more and more and selling, possibly in between, and that's one of the things that we're looking to fix, to kind of take care of and restructure.
Okay, so you guys okay with having a more in-depth discussion and instead of, yeah?
At a work session.
Go ahead.
Well, one of my, that's been brought to me is say a vendor knows they're gonna attend 3 different events. They had to go with Pam each time and get a permit or whatever they did. Is there no way we can blanket all 3 of them now? Is that gonna be part of the discussion?
That's gonna be part of the discussion, yes.
Okay, because I think when I spoke to Pam, she had concerns about proof of insurance, but lots of times it seems like those that are holding the event hold them to proof of insurance.
Correct, which is something that we discussed as well too, doing a reduced price, and like a one-time, use kind of special event business license. Say if they know they're gonna be attending the Salsa Fest, it'd be good for, 7 days, maybe like a $10 fee. And then that way, if they know they're only gonna be attending, say, 3 events for the whole year, then they're only charging $30, could be $10 per event. If they know they're gonna be attending more than 5, then they can just come get the regular business license, which is $50 annual, and then they can go that way. So it kind of, it covers them either way, but they still get it at a reduced rate. That's just one of the ideas we were tossing around that we'd like to discuss with you.
Go ahead, John.
Mayor Couch, we really had a good discussion, and the whole point here is that with this idea coming forward with Tammy and others that were in the room looking at this, clearly some of the structure to this, like having a temporary business license that costs as much as one you get for a year, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so basically the direction the discussion went is, let's look at this comprehensively. Let's fix the whole section. Do we even need a special event or a temporary use permit? Maybe we get rid of that, and maybe there's some other things we can streamline. So rather than just pinpoint the one, we thought, let's look at everything in totality and fix it comprehensively. So, and again, we would want you to have the opportunity to discuss some of those changes just to make sure that, council agrees.
The thing that I would be looking for is something that's super simple. You walk in, simple form to fill out, that spells it out what you're paying or what you're not paying, sign it, and let's move on. I hate having to have 5 pages just to have a small special event. Let's just do something super, super simple and move on. All right, you guys, so I guess my next question will be, I hate to sit on things. When in the world is going to be the next work session?
So we're looking to hold a work session here in the near future.
When's the near future?
A Friday work session, so.
I hate length.
You had one the last time, remember?
I know, I thought it was last Friday.
Mayor Couch, members of council, if this is a burning issue, we can certainly bring it as one of our additional work session items at a council meeting.
Perfect.
And again, I don't want to put Tammy on the spot because I'm not sure about all the changes that are required, Because we're looking at, there might even be text amendments, I think, in some areas.
Yeah, we have to do this whole discussion, because if we do change it for a temporary use and reduce that price, we have to post that price for that price change for 60 days, any kind of fee, before we could bring it back, and it will come back to you as an ordinance, because we will be changing the code
I would like
itself.
just to, I'd like to see it on an agenda item, and let's get it kicked out, either on the end of a session or what, but I'd like to get it kicked out, see if we can get this ball rolling to where we could possibly even adopt it before the end of this year.
Yeah, because not only am I looking to, kind of change for the temporary and the special event, I also want to make some changes to the regular business license as well, too, which is
When-
why I want to put it as
Perfect,
part
because
of that
when
discussion.
somebody from the community comes and sees something that needs to be fixed, we want to address that as fast as we can. So they
Absolutely.
think that this council's very active and very proactive and wants to move with them. Because really, when we hear from our constituents, we want to move, we want to work with them. All right?
And the ideas we tossed around, we feel you guys will like, and it'll definitely be better suited for the public.
But the concern that Mr. Bill had, that's good, it's taken care of.
Correct, yes. That has been discussed with him, and that has been taken care of.
Okay, you guys, are we all okay to move on? You got some direction?
Yes.
John, too? Yeah, we're good? Okay. Item 10, ordinance 021-11, Curtis rezone. John?
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. This is a request for mayor and city council to approve and adopt ordinance number 021-011, an ordinance of the city of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, rezoning Graham County Assessor's Parcel 101-29-010F, which is vacant land located to the east and north of 1272 East Hollywood Road, from Manufactured Home Development District to R2 multifamily residential.
Motion?
I move we approve, ordinance 021-011.
Second.
We have motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Tammy, would you read it?
Ordinance number 021-011, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, effectuating a map amendment rezoning Graham County Assessor's Parcel number 101-29-010F from City of Safford MHD Manufactured Home Development District to City of Safford R2 Multiple Family Residential District.
Perfect. Items 11-1, the P card report. 5,000.
That's hard.
You have P card?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's hear them.
Well,
Sabrina, you ready?
I'm still watching the police station. We get much more IT in that police station, it's gonna start glowing. They got wire cameras, it's state of the art. They're almost not gonna have to leave their office to be policing. But I guess that's part of the cost. I'm sure the chief will try to justify it later after the meeting when he catches me, but I'm just watching that too. I guess the biggest heartache was the fire extinguishers. It was almost I'll tell you what page it's on, 37. Almost $5,000 for citywide annual fire extinguishers. That's quite a bit. And I asked last time, the people that supply our uniforms, they're in the extinguisher business too. But I didn't know if that would lower the cost. And there's a daily that you update the cards on your fire extinguisher monthly, where you check them off. They're good to go, they're not damaged or whatever, but I don't know, $5,000, kind of a runaway nowadays. It keeps going up every year.
You do all have to be tested once a year,
Tested,
checked by a professional, not by somebody in the office.
now they get exchanged, so I think they've reduced their labor a little bit, and they can reduce the price a little bit too. So, anyway, I look into it, if we find a better contract, we might look at it, or they might get mad and jack it up more, I don't know. But, and then the other one, I think it was the P card, I don't know if they charged us twice or what, but we had two pages of the same thing. So, yeah, on, page 42, no biggie, just pointing it out. That's all I got on the P cards.
Page 42.
Yeah,
What'd you find on 42?
there's 2 pages, that's all. It's
Oh.
just, Tammy went wild probably and Gave us 2 pages.
Sabrina got all excited.
Yeah. That's just the fun in there, Mayor.
Okay. All right, I think they got that noted. Anything over 5, expenses over 5? Over 5 on revenue? Announcement of current events? John, you and I had chatted a little bit about the, Planning and Zoning Commission. Have you worked with, Jamie to talk about that? Have you thought about that? Did you wanna bring that to the council, or is that something you're working on in-house?
I think it's something we're working on in-house, but we can bring it to you. You're talking about the, more of a subcommittee approach?
Yes.
Yeah, I can raise that with her and we can bring something to
Okay,
you.
I think there's still one opening slot that we need to, and I think when you and I discussed, I think that's the right approach, and so.
Okay, yeah, we'll work on it.
Okay, perfect. Anybody have anything under announcement of current events?
Mayor, if I
Yes.
could, I just wanted to announce that Jason Brimhall's in the audience, our new utilities director's here tonight. He started today, so we've been bringing him around and introducing him to people, so I
This-
wanted to introduce him to you.
This is his initiation?
This is his initiation.
Does he know that he has to take us all out to dinner?
I haven't told him that part yet.
On
He
his
has to
own
use his
personal
credit
card, not the P card.
That's right.
Because Arnold will vote no on that, and he's even getting a full belly out of the deal.
I don't know if he gets a P card yet. Will we get a bio on him?
Yes, you will, and we
Okay.
talked about that
All
today.
right.
So we're gonna try, and that's a good point. I think we're going to be revisiting, I've had a couple of council members talk to me about that, so we're gonna be releasing a bio we did on Jamie, so we're gonna have another bio on Jason. And also, we're gonna make more effort to get, new
Who's Jason?
hires. Jason Brimhall, the person.
That's a
that
good
you-
name. I kinda like you already. You haven't done anything wrong yet.
So again, we're gonna be making more of a concerted effort to kinda inform council when we do new hires and see if we can provide additional information.
Perfect. Anything else? We're gonna close the regular meeting and open it to a council work session. Thank you, guys. Our council work session, if you guys are free to leave if you want, or hang out, but we're gonna keep moving right along. Our council work session is,
Jason, can maybe
You wanna wait?
Take 5?
we're gonna take a 5-minute break.
Take a 5, Gene. Still there?
Yeah, you
didn't tell me
anything, that's probably why. No, you didn't.
Well, okay, we're not gonna discuss it.
Would you mind? Okay,
I thought you were told to go have some fun.
Mike, would you hand them out real quick and we can just throw them down and work while she's?
Yeah.
Are these all three of them?
Yeah.
So I know we got the email, and did we by chance take a look at them? These were the different ones. There's that one, which is really, kind of, what's that called, Excel generic form? I'm not meaning any disrespect.
That was to help you select if you wanted certain questions on
okay.
the finalized document.
And then, John, if you wanted to chime in, you're more than welcome to. And here's the other ones.
This one didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and so I kind of like I forget which one it was.
Is this what currently is in our,
That is the one that has been used in the past to evaluate former city managers. And Mr. Lopez had said that that was something that the council has worked on to develop that document
In the past.
in the past.
In the past, we had come together to work, and we came up kind of with and that's what we utilized on this
Told
sheet.
her what questions you wanted.
Right, and then I had, okay, I
This
got
is
you.
your-
I kind of like
your
Form
line.
B.
This
That's
is
just
my
me,
line.
and I know that was the one that we had passed out before, so.
Yeah, the questions out of there that we wanted to move forward with.
well, my concern's the same as it was before, and right off the bat, we've got dates on here that have a evaluation period, that isn't anywhere near now. I guess we're in the middle of it, actually, if we're gonna use July 1 to June 30. Yeah, my concern's the same, it's the process.
Right, the process.
If we have a process, why haven't we followed it? If we want a new process, are we starting over?
I think evaluation wise, do you guys like Form A or Form B? So Form A, I guess, has been used before. I never used it. Yeah, and, I think I did see Form A used once, and I just felt that was too, simplified. I wanted to actually have areas of, chime in, and so Form B is kind of the one that I had showed you guys, before, but it asks a little bit more in depth.
And are they both in our?
No, what we're gonna,
No.
we're gonna grab
So
one
Form A
tonight.
is,
Form A is the
is.
previous,
isn't?
yes.
Right.
If I
Form,
might just jump
Go ahead,
in
John.
quick sec. Form A is a pre-existing document that was used to evaluate a former city manager. Form B is essentially, a rural metro evaluation that was acquired, that we brought on board, and the discussions, and again, Mayor, please
Go
correct
ahead.
me if I'm wrong. We brought those on board because we wanted to have an option. I think there was some desire to go maybe in a different direction in terms of the formatting. And so, the rural metro form was then adopted. We basically just changed the, rural metro name to City of Safford. The idea being that we now have two documents, right? And so I think the gist of the conversation that we had, it was the mayor, myself, and Jenny, is that we would take those two documents and then maybe combine them into a single document, or it could be that one is preferred over the other, and you could pick one or the other. There are a few things and issues that I would want to discuss with either of those, but I'll hold off on that, just give that exposition and let you guys go from there, and then there's some things I did.
I actually would like to hear your point.
Okay, that's fine.
You guys okay with hearing his point?
Sure.
On the two documents?
You know, before
Yeah.
you do,
Maybe
I wanna hear, but bottom line is on this evaluation, there's a couple things that are important to me. I wanna hear, I don't care what form it is, what the city manager, I wanna see his self-evaluation. What he feels he's done, what he's accomplished. We can either agree with it or disagree with it. He can give us what his plans are or what he would like to see in the future, and then we can come back and evaluate him on that.
And John and I and Jenny did have that discussion, and we all agreed that the self-evaluation was going to be turned in as well. And then one of these forms will be there too, so he'll have that self-evaluation, and we'll have a form, whichever one we really prefer. If you want to leave the one that's in place, or if you want to adopt a new one, and that way he has a self-evaluation form, and then we have the one that we actually fill out and circle dots and have comments or whatever we want to do, so that when we bring him in to executive session at that time, he then sees those documents that we put out. Correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
and so let's go 30,000 feet, right?
Real
So,
high.
the idea being that what we're doing tonight is we're trying to discuss what is the most appropriate way to evaluate a city manager, right?
Right.
And so that's the generic subject we're dealing with. It's difficult because I'm the city manager to have that discussion, because I want to make sure that you understand that the discussion is based on professional guidelines and principles, not on me wanting to steer you guys in any particular way. So again,
Right.
at any point, if you feel I'm going too far afield, by all means, cut me off, and I'll do as Councilman DuBois likes to say, I'll just shut up. But I think the first thing we want to look at is, like, how do we put a process in place that not only serves us today, but will serve us in the future? And I think, you know, we've talked about creating that standardized process so that we don't have to second guess anymore. We know that when we come around, that whatever date or year we're going to evaluate on, that's what we do.
Right.
And so it's always going to be there. It's not a do we do it or don't we do it. The other issue is that both of these documents contain some issues with process that I think their content is not necessarily applicable in some instances, and we can discuss some of those. So let's start with the one that everybody seems to be most fond of, which is Form B, right? The way that Form B was built by Valley Metro was predicated on the existence of a lot of other documents that we don't have. So for example, the idea that we have core values, well, we've never defined core values, right? So definitionally, the very subject of the evaluation, which is predicated on those first four areas. So let's look at core values on the page one that says, here's your guide. If you go to the evaluation form, you're gonna see commitment to core values, which then gives you criteria to pick from. Another issue is you'll see that there's performance expectations, right? So the assumption there is that expectations have already been created and communicated, and the form is now looking retroactively back on whether or not the expectations that were presented up front have been met. So there's a target that you're trying to meet with that document, okay? And that those targets would have been set a year ago, and then the document would then be used to assess them. The performance development goals, which is kind of interesting because those goals, the way that this is structured, really mirrors the self-evaluation form that I use. Now, the self-evaluation form that I use, I introduced with my staff because when I do an evaluation, I want to make sure that they're participating in it, right? They're the department heads, they know their shop, they know what they're trying to do. So together, we set these goals. So again, this document actually makes use of very much the same concept that I'm doing in my self-evaluation form. And then again, we get onto the annual work plan, which again are predicated on, in conjunction with the employee, based on agreed upon goals and objectives, which we don't really have, right? So again, the reason I'm going through this process and the reason that I'm spelling all this out is because there's things in this evaluation form that talk about Baldrige survey, which is a very high-end performance management technique. We don't use it. It talks about things like core values. We haven't defined them. It talks about things like strategic planning. We don't have one. So I'm not saying that you can't use the form. What I'm saying is that the people who built this form built it on a much different foundation than where we're starting from today, because we're essentially starting from scratch. If you look at well, let me leave it at that for now. We can get to the other form later. So again, the whole idea of what I'm trying to lay out is that there's a process, and then the content itself is predicated on pre-existing documents, which we don't have. All right, so that doesn't mean we can't use some of the content of this form. I just want to make sure that if we do, we use it in the appropriate fashion, and we kind of pull it out of the current format and then put it in one that we can then use ourselves. I don't think if we don't have core values, I mean, the core values here, they're laying out what it takes, team player. I mean, these may be things that you agree upon tonight as being things that you want to do, regardless of what you call them. But again, I'm just trying to lay out the fact that the structure of this document is predicated on a lot of back work that we simply haven't done yet.
I'd add that even if it already was completely suited to the core values that we chose, or the performance expectations that we chose, we still couldn't use it until a year from the time that we determined what those were, or 6 months, or some time frame. I mean, how do we use this to evaluate performance retroactively? That's the part I'm still hung up on. Whatever instrument we use, it has to be presented to an employee, at least in my experience with evaluations. I need to know what the criteria are in advance, not here's a document we created, now let's apply it to performance that's already occurred. That's where I get caught up. I don't know how we solve that problem.
So,
Also, in looking at past managers' evaluations, the last one that occurred in the city was in 2016.
Right.
So it hasn't been something that's been ongoing. So, yeah, you're essentially starting the process over anew.
so Councilman Hemphill, what you're saying is, to me, I think at the budget cycle, that pretty much is given the course or the roles in which we want the manager to start running with something. I think that starts setting the ball in motion, because at that time, we're kind of telling him what we want to fund and what we don't want to fund, and so he has to start thinking that direction. So what you're saying, I want to hear, I guess, more of what you're trying to say is you think that there needs to be, at the beginning of the year, basically a kind of something that we as a group really want him to be focusing on?
No, not necessarily. Even if we said this is the instrument we're gonna use, this is the time frame we're gonna use it, the person that's gonna be evaluated with this needs to see this prior to the evaluation. How do you evaluate anybody on criteria they don't know? If we haven't evaluated anybody since
A city
2016,
manager hasn't been evaluated.
If Mr. Casella wasn't instructed on his hire date, what his evaluation instrument and processes were gonna be, how do we, in other words, let's come up with our process.
Exactly.
But then we've gotta start the process then. I don't know how we do an evaluation now.
Okay, so what we need to do is we need to do an evaluation on what he's done since he's first came in. We need to do that kind of an evaluation. And I agree with what you're saying. And then present that to him, but we've gotta, he needs to know, where he stands today with us.
Right, but I don't know how we pull that off in a fair way, or
Maybe him
some-
taking us to dinner?
Yeah, maybe something pretty informal now,
Um,
and then what we.
Okay, so I like your point, but, so, when I look at these, and I think we need to come away with something, and that's why this is really interesting. You know, the thing is, we don't get us, on, like, for instance, let's just say Form A was always here. He could have easily seen Form A, right? But we don't know what his public relations are, except for what
True.
happens in council meetings.
Right, so we may wanna
Right.
change the.
And we don't
instrument.
know what his
Right.
employee relationships are, because we don't get a deal with that.
Right.
We get a deal with our city manager from 3, which is city council relationships and how he does. And we can still kind of do a little bit of leadership of how he takes what when a manager gets a no vote from us, and he was expecting a yes vote, how well does that play out, or how he
Right.
goes back to his team to get his team on board with the council, and so there's a lot of this form that I just don't really even agree with either.
Right.
So we need to come away with something.
We do, but then we can't use that form
And I think,
until the time frame
Okay.
after we've adopted it.
I really do agree with you. I understand what you're saying.
Right.
That way he had right to see what he was going to be evaluated
Sure.
on. And see, the thing is, I think a lot of us up here has never been evaluated,
Right.
and so
Right,
you
and I
have,
mentioned, yeah, about 100 times.
you know, so.
And I think by law, I have to have that
You have to be able to kinda know what you're
instrument
gonna be,
presented to me
so you'll know. what
prior
work with.
to, yeah.
Okay, Councilman McGoy?
So, I think I agree with you, but let me say what I think you're saying. So, Mr. Casella needs a list of expectations a year ago
Or
for us to
document.
evaluate him on that today.
Right, or
Yeah.
even just a document.
Right,
If
I mean,
this
but,
is what-
but he needs to know what's expected of him, and we've never
And-
said.
And it doesn't,
Right.
right, and it doesn't have to be a year, it could be 6 months.
Right.
As a new teacher, I was shown the document when I was hired in the first observation, that, well, actually, the first observation would come 3 months, and then, but the actual final presentation of here's your, came in May.
I think that he's on to something in that because we didn't give him something to be evaluated on, he should give us a self-evaluation.
And that's what
Maybe
we
this
We
decide.
should, we should
Right.
listen to that, and then we should create
Yes,
what we want to evaluate him on it
Yes.
next time.
And I
yes.
do believe that, John, correct me if I'm wrong, when you and I met with Jenny as well, that we kind of agreed with something like this, cause, right? I mean, and then the thing is too, is, did we not talk about like halfway point or something where you, like, are we on track still and make sure that nothing's changed, right?
I
mean,
think traditionally what you would do is, what I do is, when it's necessary, you wanna have a midway point evaluation, because if an employee is failing to perform in some area, you don't
Give
wanna
him
wait
the-
to the end of the year and
give
go,
him the
hey, you
oppor-
failed to perform.
give him the opportunity
You
to
wanna
fix it.
give them an opportunity to make an adjustment,
Right.
and then be ready for the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I think what Councilman Hemphill is speaking to is a traditional evaluation process, where you're given goals and objectives at the beginning of the year, and then over the year, you implement those goals and objectives. At the end of the year, you're evaluated on those. Now, you could do a mid-year update, that's fairly traditional.
Right.
But again, you know going in what you're going to do, whatever goals it is that you emphasize as a council, and then it's my job to make those happen.
Okay.
And then, when you get to the other end, you're like, oh, did you get there or didn't you?
Okay, so here's the thing that we talked about in that room as well, is I didn't want to present John with 7 different
Right.
deals, because each one of us has different ideas for John to go, so his head is gonna be spinning. He's like, well, Councilman Lopez wants a backstop, Councilman Anazola wants more parades. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's like he wouldn't know where to go, so that's why I wanted us to come together with like 5 objectives or 5 whatever, and that's how simple it is, right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm not hung up on the,
I don't think we're gonna go to backstops. I think
I'm just-
the question's gonna be how responsive he is to the council's requests, or, you know, I mean,
Right.
how, I
And
mean,
I'm
if
not
we
on-
ask for something to be on an agenda, how does he make that happen? Does it, do you feel satisfied, you know? Did you get what you asked
Okay.
for?
but I agree with it.
We're not
Doesn't need to be big.
not gonna look at
Can I make a
specific tasks.
Can I make a suggestion, and you guys agree with me or not? But, how about we let, Brad work with Jenny and get this form built for us?
I think, well, to me, I think one of the first things that's important is the city manager's self-evaluation.
Well, we gotta get that done.
I think that.
We can do that next week,
What-
or in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I can get it to you, I've written it up already. I don't think that Brad is talking about the tool, he's talking about the process.
Right, I'm
process.
not hung up on the tool.
Okay.
Just as long as we're gonna present it here, we're gonna check here, and if we get a new hire in 10 years, they need to be presented with
The
this.
same tool.
And if we get a new
Or the
council in that
council
interim,
can-
they wanna change this, they can
They need
change
to
it.
change it.
I've probably had, in the 29 years I've taught, 15 different tools, but I saw every one of them
Prior,
at the start of the year.
Vice Mayor?
I hear what you're saying, I agree with it to a certain degree, but I don't wanna give a new employee, or, you know, the city manager a form that, it's so, I want it broad. In other words.
Well, then we
that-
make it
that I-
broad.
Yes.
But whatever, he
that
gets
I'm-
it,
that-
whatever it is.
Yeah, that it's not, that he's just gonna do this, I did this.
Right, right.
Because this one little, vision we give him, it's broad,
Right,
you know, let him use his mind.
right.
And
I
the
don't- I agree with that as
self-evaluation
well.
tool is part of the overall process, just like it is with a department head, right? And the idea is that you're dialoguing, you know, you're not changing the council, they're two separate documents. You still decide what you want me to accomplish. All I'm doing is bringing to you information that you can't possibly know in some regards, because you're not there, to give you a better idea of what I'm seeing on the inside, right, and where I think we may need to go. It has no impact, really, well, it may have some, hopefully, but it doesn't necessarily have an impact on what you decide you want me to do. They're two separate documents that are part of the same process.
Mayor,
Yes, Gene?
I have a comment, I don't know if it makes much sense or not, but, and I brought this up, I think, before in a meeting, that most of us have never done evaluations on employees. Most of us have never been evaluated by our employer. John has done a lot of them, he's been evaluated a lot, he's done a lot of evaluations. And I think that when we put this tool together, we're not talking here about necessarily his evaluation. We're talking about evaluations going forward, you know, through his management career and beyond, depending on what the next council would want to do. But and as he talked to us tonight, he brought up a lot of points that we're deficient in, as far as you know, there's something on this document that we've never addressed before. We've never articulated before. There's nothing put in place to be able to evaluate somebody on that. So I really think that, in my opinion, he ought to be involved in helping us put together an evaluation tool. Realizing that, yeah, we're evaluating him this time and probably next time, but it's something that I think he's got a lot of experience that we don't have that could be valuable to us in putting together something that we could use for years to come.
I agree with that, and if I understand Steve correctly, and if I am, I agree, maybe the self-evaluation presented can be the evaluation for this year, if we want to call it that, and then we spend the time we need to create something that's the next time around.
I think we need to put on the first, October meeting, the manager's evaluation off of the self-evaluation. I think that we need to have Jenny start running something to where we come up with something. I think John's even agreed that he'll be there, but he wants to also, if I'm speaking out of context, you wanted to kind of punt that in Jenny's court anyway.
You know what I would recommend? Maybe you create a subcommittee of the council that they focus, just like on, we would do, let's say, on the P and Z. So you
Right.
have 3-member subcommittee, maybe that works with Jenny, gathering information and getting the tool in place. And then the process really is just saying, as of this date, these are the objectives you have to meet within the context of this tool. And 6 months from now, we're gonna meet again and go over how you're doing.
And I think that this needs to be, at the beginning of every year, we need to make sure the council wants to still use this form for for evaluation, so that it's in the system to where it always comes up, even if the council changes in the year, that this new council comes on, that they know right off the bat that this is the form that's going to be adopted and it's going to be used every year. If you want to make the changes, now is the time to make the changes. That way he knows, or she knows, whoever the manager is, this is this is the evaluation form that's going to be used, and in 6 months, you know, from, and I think the deal is the hire date, so we're definitely behind the 8 ball on this one. But if you guys are okay with that, I would go ahead and say, if you guys are okay with that, I would say let's put Gene on the subcommittee, let's put Brad Hemphill on the subcommittee, and of course the mayor. But if you guys don't want me on there, I don't care. Put somebody else on
I
there.
think you should be.
Okay, then that, if you guys are okay with that, that's the three.
Yes.
And,
That's a good choice.
man, can I make a suggestion? We've got a window here. Let's think about this. So, over the next few months, the subcommittee works with Jenny, gathers information, creates a tool. We put the objectives on there as of January. I evaluate my staff in January. So even if we go with a July 1 annual evaluation, it'll give us a 6-month window to evaluate me from January to July. So you don't have to wait a year to evaluate me. You get the tool in place, you got time to build it. You start the clock ticking in January, you give me my marching orders then, we revisit in July, and then we reset on an annual basis after that.
Okay,
So that way we get after it right away, you don't have to wait.
all right, and so are you okay, is council okay with the first meeting in October, we go into executive session, that's where you want it? And we, right?
Yes,
And we have
that
your
I would want
evaluation
executive session, yes.
on that day.
Well, in January, what you would be doing is yes.
Yes, this is
You wouldn't
for
be
your
doing the
past year.
evaluation, you would be beginning the process, you would have decided on the tool, and then you would be giving me my goals and objectives to be reevaluated as of July 1, so we'd have a half a
Yes.
year.
Yep.
Yes.
But Mayor, you're talking about using the self-evaluation.
Self-evaluation to evaluation is past year.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
right
in
now.
October.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
and
then-
yeah, that I can have to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're saying I can have that to you, but, and not knowing the format, but I would rather you presented that and expounded on it rather than us read it individually.
I think you were planning on doing that, but you were gonna give
Is
it
that-
to us to
I-
preview, correct?
Yeah, I think you can have it in advance so you can read it, I'll present it, but I think,
Okay, I just-
again, it's the same idea, right? I'm not trying to spring it on you and surprise you, I'd rather have you have a chance to read it so that when we come in the room, you've digested it and you're ready to discuss it as well as I am.
We can either be happy or mad, right?
What's that?
We can either be happy with you or mad.
That's right, it's up to you.
Well, from what I heard,
Be
we're
happy,
gonna,
though.
we're gonna be mad, no. Just kidding. Is everybody okay with that? First
This
meeting,
is a good
John,
start.
let's make that happen. First meeting, let's do, in October, let's do, Jenny, the evaluation. We're gonna evaluate the self-evaluation form. And the subcommittee will start as soon as you send out an email of dates and times, and let's make this happen. We get going, and then, but you guys need to trust this subcommittee to bring back to you guys some stuff, and then you guys can, of course, massage it or change it from then. But I want you guys to trust us, right? Are you okay with that?
Well, yeah, 'cause
Now, wait, you're on this committee?
You could be on
Yeah,
it if you
come
want.
on, Steve.
The starting point is really gonna be the goals and objectives that
It
you have
is.
for the city, and so that's where you're gonna start, is by coming up with what you want the city manager, whether that be John or whether that be his replacement, what specific achievable goals you want to see him
Go ahead.
complete.
And didn't we come up with some of those on the retreat?
We
Was it the retreat?
We have, and I can hand it out if you want right now, there's a section in the resolution we passed that has city manager goals in it. I have copies of it, I can give it to you right now.
yeah.
Or at least the committee?
give it to them right now, because they don't answer their emails or go pick up their mail.
Well, and
Oh my
the other thing I want to
God.
emphasize too is that the
He
subcommittee.
just called us out.
Yeah, you
I
gotta
sent
do-
it.
You gotta do your homework.
If the subcommittee comes up with a form, the whole council still has to approve it.
Right.
So this was the
I
document
did
that
too.
we created as a result of working with the consultant.
Before we're going any farther, may I have my packet back, please?
Sorry.
Oh. You don't wanna get in that realm of us four down here?
I
huh?
haven't, thank you.
Wow.
Sorry.
Gosh, dang.
This was from.
Councilman Seal, you still on the phone?
Is this from the retreat?
Councilman Seal, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you pick up your packet?
What packet?
Yeah, yeah. You guys must have been the only two that got that email then.
They're the only two that read their email.
I printed mine off. I printed mine off from the email.
Exactly. All right. I think that's a good, work session. We're gonna go ahead, are we okay to close this one?
I need a little clarification on, you said we're gonna evaluate his self-evaluation tool. I was under the impression we were going to hear his self-evaluation
Yes.
and say,
Right, thank you.
say you're a
But if-
mess.
Yeah, right,
Thank you.
but if he
Right.
comes in and says he wants $100,000 raise, that's going to
That's not
definitely
a-
self-evaluate him and say no. you
That's
know.
not part of an evaluation.
Could be though. It's a negotiating,
Okay, but we're not evaluating his tool, we're evaluating we're
listening to.
listening
himself.
to his own evaluation.
And I think
He-
it'll be
He's
a
gonna
good-
have 15 minutes to toot his horn.
It'll be a good opportunity to do kind of a year in review and to provide you with some insights of where I
That's
think
what I
maybe we
want.
may wanna focus. There you
Okay,
Okay, but, I mean, I could have told him what I thought about him right now, but
Go ahead, we're not closed.
And we'll begin the process. The
with me,
committee
I
will,
could
it'll
have, he
just
could
be,
have got
we'll
the
let Arnold know.
same thing done out of the, it'd have been clear to him what I expected of him in the next year, and we could have gone from there, but I'm trusting him that we'll give him a fair shake.
You'll
And I
definitely get,
trust
you'll,
him to
you'll definitely
keep
get,
this set right.
you're gonna get a
See, he
fair
doesn't-
shake.
He doesn't have to worry about what Arnold expects of him. He has to
Yeah.
worry about what the council as a whole voted to
You're gonna
expect
get
of
you're
him.
gonna get a fair shake, and you're gonna also get the opportunity to, vote, to change it or to accept
Yeah,
it. So
cause
you'll,
like, 'cause like A, there was questions in A that dealt with him and the employees. I had no knowledge.
Right,
of what
we don't like
was
that.
on there and stuff. And, you know, I was leaning to B to start with, cause at least I got an idea of the core values and what I expect of him. But you guys got it going, I'm glad. We're gonna get this confused.
I think Brad's gonna have it going on. I'm just gonna sit there and eat the munchies.
Okay.
All right,
We in regular session?
we are in regular session.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Any opposed?
Opposed?